Yep.
Okay, got it. All
There
right.
you go.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So the, now who's that? Oh, somebody else is coming on. Hello. Is this Dan?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good. I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you.
Dan Resnick, this is Sid Schwarz. Do you know one another?
Have not had the pleasure, but good to meet you, Dan.
Why don't you give a little bit of who you are, Sid, and then Mel can do the same.
I'm a Reconstruction rabbi. I'm based in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. The founding rabbi of Adat Shalom, a Reconstruction congregation, one of the larger congregations in the movement. I do national work around reimagining the Jewish community. I run a national rabbinic fellowship program called CLE, Clergy Leadership Incubator.
And Mel? Do you know Mel?
I have.
Everybody knows Mel.
Everybody knows Mel.
I'm an academic and I have been channeling Mordecai Kaplan, as they would say, in the spiritualism world. I have been channeling Mordecai Kaplan for a great many years. My thinking, and I published a biography and a book of analyzing his thought, which is called The Radical American Judaism of Mordecai Kaplan. We also published a number of things in Hebrew. The biography was translated early on, and a book that Manny and I put out called Dynamic Judaism was also translated into Hebrew a number of years ago. And I published excerpts from the diary. And right now I'm working on putting out Kaplan wisdom. I'm going to call it Kaplan wisdom, I think.
This is on a Facebook page, and he gets
topically. In other words, I think you have to package. I'm sure that Sid understands this because his work is widely known. That you have to package things so that people don't spend the effort searching. I mean, as a scholar, you and I, we're ready to search and to spend time going through, but people need things easily packaged. So I'm working on a package of Kaplan on Torah, Kaplan on ethics, Kaplan on God, and so on and so forth. From the diary, from the interviews that Jane has worked up with Kaplan, from Kaplan's documents from his archive. The archive in Philadelphia and New York is very, very large. And so. Anyway.
So Dan, tell us a little, you're from Dor Hadash?
Who, me?
Yeah. No? Where do you hail from?
Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Well, I hail from New York.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly 30 blocks away from 415 Central Park West.
Okay, all right. And I am not an academic or a rabbi. I'm a lay leader, have been involved with the Reconstructionist movement and was president of the Federation many, many years ago. And I'm currently president of the Kaplan Center. So we-
Jen, because it sounds like, are you Dan Musher?
Who, me? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought we had a misidentification because before Jeff got off the line, he said Dan Resnick might join us. But why don't you do? I now recognize from your email that your name. So why don't you say a word, Dan, about what your involvement, so we are all on the same page. We will introduce ourselves, Dan.
Well, my grandfather is Mordecai Kaplan. We were very close. I've read every single thing he's written, every book he's written in English. I haven't read the Hebrew ones because I haven't got the Hebrew to read it. After my grandmother passed away and before he remarried, I would just go and spend evenings with him. Mm-hmm. We used to spend every other Shabbat afternoon in his house.
Oh, how wonderful.
with my cousin Miriam, who's a member of your shul.
Right.
And we were just very close. And he said, it was a little embarrassing, but he did state in public that he thought that I understood his work better than anybody else in the family.
Oh, wow, that's something, given Ira's work.
Well, I think he said in any of their grandchildren. Well,
So
All right.
are you Paula's cousin? Paula,
Miriam is my cousin and Paula is her cousin,
okay,
but Paula and I are still close.
okay, yeah,
We're
I've been in
so-
touch with Paula because she's doing some work on Judith. Sorry for the confusion. There was a Dan Resnick who had said that he might be able to come on. I'm delighted, really delighted. So
All right, Jane, you've got an august audience here. Go for
This
it.
is really something. Let me just tell you, after Dan Cedarbaum passed away, we, those of us who were still on the board were really committed to having it continue. And Jeff agreed to be executive director until July of 2024, at which point he will return to his family and his other academic efforts. So the board met recently and decided whether we should close shop or not. And if not, in what form? We're not quite sure about that yet. It depends on funding and partnerships, whatever. But we decided not to sunset. So what we want to talk with people like you is what you value about what we've done, and can we count on you to help do webinars, things of that sort. The two things that the board felt were valuable was the archiving of all the Kaplanian material. Mel has a authoritative bibliography of everything by and about Kaplan, which is on the site. There are just some wonderful gems there that we don't want to lose. So we have to figure out how that will happen. But I'd love to hear from you, not only what you value about what we're doing, but if we can count on you for helping continue its work. So either of you can take the floor. Dan?
Well, I tuned in because I was curious to see what your plans were to continue the work of the Institute. I did not tune in because I had any specific ideas. I'm imbued with my grandfather's philosophy. I share it when I'm called on to give a Dvar Torah, which is occasional or not so occasional.
Have you written anything about those wonderful Shabbat afternoons with him?
Herb Yaskowitz and I teamed up to write an article in Judaism years ago. It might have been my grandfather's 100th birthday. I don't remember. Otherwise, I have not. I've told Mel. I've got some absolutely wonderful anecdotes about my grandfather.
Well, I see a place for you, Dan. There's a section on our website called Kaplanian Voices, which are one-on-one interviews. And I think that would be just a wonderful to have in our archive is your firsthand memories of him.
All right. Do I do that just myself, or
No, we'll talk with you about it. But don't you think that would be wonderful?
Well, make sure whoever does it asks me about some of my humorous stories.
Yes, okay.
Really funny ones.
All right, we'll do that.
I got some I'm not sure it's even
Let me
polite to say.
give a more specific version of Jane's question to Sid. I was always impressed with the website that dealt with William James. And in the sense that everything Jamesian was on the website, books and reviews and all kinds of things. And I just wonder whether that is a goal, what that might look like, if we would consider the Kaplan Center website the place to go for all things Kaplanian. And in terms of that ideal, if we say that that is a valid ideal, what would we add to what we've already done in terms of making this the place for Reconstructionist rabbis? And I'm interested to know Sid's sense of whether or not the rabbis out in the field, whether or not this becomes part of conversations and so on and so forth.
Well, Mel, you're a great scholar. I'm just a grandson. So, I mean, I can tell you, for example, when my grandfather was the visiting professor at the Hebrew University, he told me he was walking down the corridor. It was Shabbat afternoon. You know, the light switches are outside the bathroom. Somebody from in the bathroom heard him walking down the hall, said, "Would you please turn on the light for me?" And he turned on the light. He said he walked a few more yards. He says, "I'm not going to be that guy Shabbos boy." He turned back and turned the light off and then kept on going. I mean, I don't even know if you want to print stuff like that. He was giving a lecture once. He lectured on the Mishkan. And when he's all done, and somebody gets up and says, "Rabbi Kaplan, what's the difference between the Ark of the Covenant and Noah's Ark?" And he said, without the slightest pause, he says, "One of them was built to float." I can tell stories like that.
I think, you know what, jot them down and we'll get all of your stories and edit it down to the format that we need. I think that I'm really looking forward to this, Dan. We'll get in touch with you very soon about this.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Sid,
Jane, let me respond to your question and Mel's piggyback question. Look, I do think organizationally, and it seems to me that
I'm very busy. I'll call you back.
I don't know all the details about the origins of the Kaplan Center. I mean, I knew it was a labor of love by Dan Cedarbaum. I know he provided a good deal of the funding for it as well. I don't know what other kind of funding is involved. I've never seen a budget. But I have, as you
Can't talk now. Yeah.
Yeah, as you well know, I've built several organizations and know a little bit about, the landscape of the American Jewish community. I think at this point in time, it would make sense to explore having the Kaplan Center be an institute under the umbrella of the Rabbinical College or the movement. It doesn't make sense to me to have something freestanding. It seemed odd to me from the very beginning. It wasn't, nobody asked my opinion about it. So what I thought is neither here nor there, but as someone who cares deeply about the movement, about the thought of Kaplan, and about the future of the Jewish community, I think consolidating the work of the Kaplan Center under a larger auspices, as opposed to being kind of a, to use a Talmudic term, bitul b'shishim, which is the expression being like, what if something is less than 1/60th, and it's treif, it doesn't make it treif, right? But it's the rabbi's way of saying it's de minimis, it's negligible, the impact of a small organization like the Kaplan Center. And I think that if you want to have the work magnified and not be de minimis, it's got to be part of something larger. And I think it also, the optics also are important. It's confusing in the marketplace to have a Kaplan Center when you have an ongoing movement. So I think that should be the priority. And then, I also believe that, again, I'm not privy to your budget, but if you want to get some serious funding, the opportunity to kind of name the center or endow the center at the college, it's a more attractive ask to someone with means than something that is as small as the current operation. And the fact of the matter is, Jeffrey has been, as he has always been, a gem of a gentleman and a great talent to step in this time of Dan's loss to keep the leadership of it. But Jeffrey's not going to do it for the long term.
Right. No, we're looking.
And so you've got to think about that, what the long-term viability is of the organization. So that's where I would come down.
That discussion has just in the past few days, I'm surprised it hasn't come up before, but the idea of having us be a tab on the Reconstructing Judaism website is something that we need to discuss. Frankly, in terms of the origin of the Kaplan Center, it was formed because Dan was not so pleased with the direction the college was going, and they know that. So there's some kind of political stuff that has to be, we have to get over that and assure them that we're on the same path. But
whatever those issues were, do you think they've been resolved?
I think so. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Then I absolutely agree with the
right. Okay.
Merging.
Good.
Yeah, and what I was saying is that if you could work out the details, then I would think that the Kaplan Center at the college, might do an annual symposium, might have a website, as Mel suggested a few minutes ago, where resources could be found. I think it would be interesting once you do the organizational merger or consolidation to convene a couple of focus groups with RA members to see what kind of things the Kaplan Center might do that would be value added to what the movement's currently doing. And then it creates a little bit of agenda. Then you can see, what kind of staffing you need to kind of keep that going. That's a conversation that should be happening in conjunction with Deborah Waxman, in my view.
We've met a number of times with James Green, who's the president of the RRA, and he is very, very supportive. We actually talked with him last night or Monday night, and one of the ideas that he came up with is having a collection of curricula for teaching Kaplan. And I'm sure you've taught Kaplan. There's a guy named Sidney Nestel who we talked to in Toronto, who has a curriculum on Kaplan. So it might be a good place to have a repository of that information. If you have connections at the college and can help grease the wheels for this, if you have informal conversations, that would be wonderful. And you, Dan, as well.
I think we want to be in and we want not to be in. In other words, Dan made it a strong point that we were non-denominational, not members of any particular movement. And I think that's very Kaplanian, even though Kaplan was happy with the establishment in the 60s of the college and so on and so forth. Throughout his life, moving beyond denominations was an issue. But as you're kind of indicating, then we remain a very small element. I have taken advantage of Rabbi Green's willingness to put me on the newsletter that comes out to the rabbis. It's a very small thing, but every 2 weeks, the RRA sends a newsletter, which you probably get, Sid.
Yeah, sure.
And if you have noticed, I posted a number of things, and I will continue to post elements from the Kaplan corpus, which are not generally known. I think we want to go in both directions at the same time.
Well, I think we don't you think that in the description of the Kaplan Center that we can say that we're trans-denominational and still have a place on the Reconstructing Judaism? I mean, that's something we'd have to work out, but you're right you're right, Mel, that we are not considering ourselves just part of the movement. I mean, we had a Kaplan, a Dan Cederbaum Prize for Educational Innovation, and we had enormous number of applicants, not all of which were from the movement. So, you know,
But I also would observe that anyone who is paying attention to the outlines of the Jewish community know that the entire community is becoming post-denominational. If you even look at the policies with regard to placement, 25 years ago, they were closed union shops. CCR, Rabbinical Assembly, RRA. You didn't cross lines. If you did it, you got penalized.
you got booted out.
You got booted out, whatever else. All
I
that is
remember
gone now, because the fact of the matter is all the national movements know that their hold over their affiliates is very, very weak. Many, many synagogues that may be ideologically aligned with one or more of the movements have dropped their don't pay their dues anymore, you know? So they're not even on the roll books. And so the denominations are really threatened. So I think in that light, well, I'm well aware of, you know, Kaplan's odyssey around, you know, not wanting to be put into a peg, and, you know, all the drama with IRA about why we needed to have our own movement, our own seminary. But I think that's an interesting story historically, but it's not the current reality. So I would not, you know, fret all that much about what does it mean for the Kaplan Center, which wants to be post-denominational, to go to the college. It's just not a denominational landscape any longer. So I think if it's an academic institution, and if we do if the Kaplan Center does periodic symposia and publications and award prize, whatever else, it should be a value added. It's not hard to make that case.
Well, I think it's good to state it though, and I thought Jane's phraseology was exceptionally good, gotta say, because I think that's really what my grandfather would have liked. Could I add one more thing? When I introduced myself, I didn't state that our daughter wrote her honors thesis at Princeton on the question of whether my grandfather wanted to found a separate movement, which he did not.
Well, maybe that should be part of our, do you have that? Mel, is that part of your bibliography?
Mel knows about it. Sure he does. It was published. It was published in the American Jewish Historical Review.
Do you recall putting it in your bibliography, Mel?
No.
Do me a favor, Dan.
You don't have it by Deborah Musher?
Dan, let me have your email and I'll be in touch to get the citation.
Hold on a second, Mel, you don't have that article by Deborah Musher from American Jewish History?
They're not off the top of my head.
Well, I think frankly, well,
all right,
I gotta
Dan, what's your email? I'll make sure that we include it.
Daniel Musher 1@gmail.com.
That's easy.
And I think that's a shame, because she studied the diaries that were not then publicly available. She had to travel up to New York to do it. And it won the prize in the religion department and in the philosophy departments.
Well, it's easily added. And as soon as I get we can add that to the bibliography. That's wonderful. Dan, Is there someone you would like to be interviewed by? Would you like to have the conversation with Mim about these stories? Or
with whom?
Miriam?
Well, Miriam and I were very close. We're almost the same age. We were very close. But our views are a little different.
Okay, all right. Okay,
why don't you interview me?
Okay, all right. We'll find somebody. I just thought maybe.
It was the case about this denominational issue. It was the case that Dan thought ultimately the Kaplan Center should join the Reform movement. He thought Reconstructing Judaism should join the Reform movement.
This is who, Dan Cedarbaum?
He didn't say a lot about that.
Are you referring to Dan Cedarbaum? Who are you referring to?
Dan Cedarbaum, is that what you mean?
Dan Cedarbaum, yeah.
Well, my grandfather would have been very strongly opposed to that.
Who was your grandfather?
Yeah, but at that point, the Reform movement was very different. When Eric Yaffe was president, which is around the time when I was president of the JRF, he issued edicts, all of which were Reconstructionist in their approach. So I think the reform movement may have changed. I'm not sure theologically it has, but whatever.
Now, I introduce another personal note. So I told you about my daughter's thesis at Princeton. It was published. My son, Benjamin, for his senior thesis at Harvard, wrote on the centrist shift of the reform movement in Houston, Texas, between whatever years it was. And there certainly was a centrist shift. And he used Temple Emmanuel as the principal example. And that was a breakaway from what was the really far left reform rabbi at Beth Israel. The one they passed a law you couldn't be a member if you kept kosher. I forget the guy's name. Anyway.
In New York?
Yeah, no, in Houston.
Oh, in Houston, I don't know.
At any rate.
Jane, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have an 11:30 call. So,
okay. So is
you
there?
know where to find me. I'm glad that there's a conversation going on, and
if you happen to bump into anyone at the college, please, you are esteemed and valued and trusted, and your views would be very well received. But it would help us because I think we're thinking along the same lines. And if there's any way you can help grease the wheels, that would be great. And you know where to find me also. So if you have other ideas, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't interact with college folks all that much these days. I'm not in Philadelphia, but if there's a conversation that's going to happen, if you want to pull me into it or something, I'm open to it. Okay.
Super. And can we count
good
on
to see you all. Dan, good to see you. Mel, always good to see you too.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Jane, further supporting your points. When I first went to Emmanuel for Paula Eisenstein Baker's daughter's bat mitzvah, I was the only person in the shul wearing a kippah. They didn't hand them out. The only person, they didn't hand them out, and there were no talashim. Now it's expected that you wear a kippah.
Oh, it's very different now. Very different.
So it's, but in no way, shape, or form.
Tell me how
Mel, let me just finish my sentence. In no way, shape, or form would my grandfather during his lifetime have accepted the notion of joining the reform movement. Now, if you think I'm wrong,
who is your grandfather?
Kaplan. Kaplan was his grandfather.
Who is your father?
Mel, this is Daniel Musher. You know me.
Daniel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh.
You know, Daniel, your name is VHAHOU Mush D. If you change it so that it says Dan Musher.
Oh my God! I need to give you a massive apology. Daniel and I talk on the phone, and I have not seen Daniel in a very long time, and I did not recognize you, so I'm deeply apologetic. Daniel, many years ago, arranged for me to give a talk in Houston. I think it was Houston, and I flew down, and he told me a very wonderful story about Kaplan and Carol, his wife. Do you remember?
That was a good one too. Yeah.
And the story was that Kaplan came down to visit, and so he and Carol were riding in the car, and he didn't really know Carol, and so he turned to her and he said, tell me about your belief in God.
She emphasizes that they hadn't even gotten out of the airport when he asked her that question.
And who was Carol? Whose wife was Carol? You?
Mine.
Carol is Daniel's wife.
Dan's
my
wife.
wife.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I love that story. I think it's wonderful.
What is your daughter doing now, Dan?
My daughter got her PhD in autism spectrum disorders, and she lives in LA. She's married to Joe Menashe, who's the executive director of Ramah in
Oh, interesting.
LA. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
I
I am so
realize
looking forward to hearing your stories. We'll get somebody who would be if you can't think of somebody whom you'd like to interview you, we'll find somebody good.
I'd like you to interview me.
All right. Okay, I'd be happy to. So I don't know if you and Mel have talked about this, but Mel interviewed Kaplan in 1972 as his first foray into Kaplaniana, right? This was your first time meeting him, Mel?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for 5 years with audio cassette tapes, he interviewed Mel. So for the past 5 years, we've just finished. For the past 5 years, I have been transcribing these word by word because the professional services that I tried they couldn't tell the difference between the two voices, and you had lawnmowers and fire engines in between. So it was a labor of love, and we have the
You did that yourself, Jane? You did that
I did.
yourself?
every
Wow.
word, hours and hours,
That
going
is a
back.
hell of a
And then
job.
Mel, it was wonderful. Mel would come out every other week. We go over the transcript. We'd find the Hebrew sources. I found a misprint, a miscitation in Kol HaNeshama. They attributed it to the wrong book of the Bible. But we'd go over everything. I'd give him lunch. Harvey would talk about finances, and we would have. It was a wonderful adventure. I'm sorry it's over.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
COVID helped because I was up in the country and I was able to do it kind of nonstop. But yeah, no, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. And it's not only talking with Kaplan, but Judy and Naomi and 5 or 6 of his colleagues. So.
And I've told Mel that, and Mel, you don't mind my repeating this, I felt that you were overly influenced in your biography by comments by my Aunt Naomi. Naomi was very cynical, and her observance was nearly negligible. She was an odd duck. Ira was cynical. Judith was not. Miriam kind of is. I was not.
Miriam doesn't seem to have been. She doesn't seem to have had the loving, very warm relationship with him.
Miriam.
Yeah, no, I've become very friendly with her. We see one another at all the conventions, and have lunch and stuff together.
And I think, I think that's the case, and that's why I preferred not to be interviewed with Miriam. Although, as I said,
okay,
we were raised together. Every other Shabbat afternoon we spent together. We were the closest of the cousins.
Oh, that's so nice.
And anyhow, my mom was less educated than her 3 sisters. My father was very devoted to, my father's parents were members of SAJ. We were there every Shabbat morning. We all sat together. My father would consider him unquestionably a follower of my grandfather, both grandfathers. And
Sidney was also the president of the fund,
Israel PEF.
the PEF fund.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, Jane. It's a
Yeah, you described it to me.
yeah, it's a pass-through fund, and I'm a member.
Yeah.
of the board.
Yeah, you've told me about that.
Yeah,
The Israel PEF was set up as a way of funding various charitable endeavors in Israel. It was really called the Palestine Endowment Fund, and they changed its name to the PEF Israel Endowment Fund. My father took on that organization.
he was president.
And when he retired at age 65, and he built it up very greatly by actually taking responsibility for where people wanted to direct donations. He said that different people have different interests and they're looking for things to which to donate, but he would personally research them. So he traveled to Israel several times a year, all this at no salary. This is when he retired. And so somebody who made a donation to PEF Israel knew that the money was being used for the purpose it was intended. And there was an article in the Jewish Post that said that the overhead was 1.5% of the.
That's remarkable. That is amazing.
They made a big deal out of it.
That is
It was
remarkable.
a small office. I think Edna Kalkstein was a full-time secretary. She might have been a part-time secretary. My father took no salary, and that was it. He had been, by the way, Mel, before that, he was also the treasurer of the Palestine Economic Corporation. So he was involved in two different organizations relating to Israel. Two very important ones. And one more story about my father. I don't remember the book, but the one in which the crate of so-called farm instruments dropped as it was being put on board ship and broke open, and it contained a bunch of guns. And that was the one that led to a big article in the New York Times. I remember the article, and I was probably 10 years old, and it showed all my father's friends, pictures of them, and all their names. My father kept saying he didn't know anything about it, but obviously he did, but he wasn't named in the article for the gun running to
Were there recriminations against the others?
Beg pardon?
Were there recriminations against the others?
I don't know that, except public, well, the Times would have considered it public embarrassment. I'm sure the guys were proud of it. You know, the New York Times on the subject.
But they weren't arrested for it.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
That's interesting. Well, we will get back to you very soon. I'll set up a Zoom and we can share stories. I'm so looking forward to this.
Okay.
So is there anything, we're having a webinar this Sunday. It's 1 o'clock Eastern time. So figure, what is that, 11 your time?
Noon my time.
Okay.
I work on Sundays, so it's my
Okay.
best day at work, but I'll try.
What kind of work do you do?
Hmm?
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a professor of medicine at Baylor.
Oh, okay. All right. Sunday classes?
No, I do research and I write. When I came here, I told the chairman who interviewed me that when I was in Boston, I had a certain amount of trouble with Jewish professors in Boston when I said I was going to take off certain days for certain holidays, and that was unacceptable to me. I told them I would work all the American holidays and half a day on Sunday, but I wouldn't work on Saturday except to see patients who were ill and needed me.
Right.
And I made that deal 53 years ago, and I've stuck by it.
Have you read that? There's a case in the paper yesterday about this Amazon evangelical.
I saw that article. He was a Amish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and he doesn't.
It was a nice
deliver on
description.
Sundays.
A
It's
very nice
interesting.
description of what the Sabbath is supposed to be like.
Right. I'm very interested to see what, how the court comes down on this. Because he didn't know that those were the conditions when he took the job.
Mhm.
And they just
No.
began Sunday deliveries. It's interesting.
Okay, I want to apologize again for not knowing that I was talking to Daniel Musher.
Mel, come on, man, you have to apologize.
Well, I'm delighted. I'm delighted to have met you. If you see Paula, say hello. We've had some wonderful conversations. Yeah, and these the transcripts are available if you're interested in reading them. So, but we'll be in touch soon about an interview about, you know, your storytelling.
Send me a link to the transcripts. I listened to some of those tapes because I think Mel sent them. Somebody sent it to me. So
All right, I can send you the file. It's not yeah, I guess it's a Dropbox link. I can do that. I think I can figure that out.
I hope I'm able to open it on.
Well, I'll just send you the documents. I'll send you the documents in a file. You don't need to hear the tapes. That's a little more complicated.
No, I don't want the tape. I want the
No,
transcript.
I'll send you the transcripts, okay?
Mhm.
And there is now a Kaplan Scult archive at the JTS library. We met with the archivist and Mel handed over the CDs, which had been made from the audio tapes, and I sent her the file and she was thrilled to get them, really thrilled.
I'm trying to build up a Kaplan Archival Center in New York City, which will make things available. And I have so many documents, and in addition to that, transcriptions of my interviews, I have been giving her documents of Kaplan's copies and some originals every week for the past couple of months. So, and they're very happy to get them.
Okay, I just want to make sure I have your Daniel Musher 1@gmail. Okay.
That's correct.
I will write you, and you can send me the citation for Deborah's thesis, okay?
I will do that.
Good, wonderful.
Okay, it's good to see you, Daniel.
Take care. This
Pleasure.
was terrific. This was really so fruitful. And I look forward to talking to you soon, Dan.
Okay,
You
very
too, Mel.
nice. Mel, take care. Good to see you, Mel.
Good to see you. Good
Okay,
to see you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.